the idea of just like, throw this aside and I'll pick it up later. There's someone who wants to buy it right now. What if you decide in a few weeks, like, oh, I don't want that anymore? Now what? Now we can't sell it. If you want to pre-order something, we'll reserve it for you. And then you pick it up when you pick it up. We've already accounted for that sale. We've already accounted for that book. But if it's something that's on the shelf, not only did we not order that for you in the first place, we ordered it for anybody who wants to buy it.
Right. Which could be you, but only if you buy it right now.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep bringing comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Before we even get into it this week, I would like to send a huge Challengers congratulations to Jordan North. BBC Radio 1's Jordan North.
Did he complete rowing home?
Rowing home with Jordan. Think back, listener, at what you did this work week, this previous work week.
Uh-huh.
Think back to...
I rowed 30 miles every day.
On what?
A rowboat.
Okay.
Down a river.
That's interesting. Yeah. It's not what Jordan did, but that's cool.
Okay.
The entirety of your work week, Jordan North was in one of those tiny little rowing skiffs, which are like 6 inches deep.
Yeah.
They're like the size of a plank of wood.
Sure.
And the motion of rowing is it's on a little like sliding seat. So you have your 2 oars and you put them in the water and your seat is in the front and you slide back and you pull and then you bring the oars up and you slide forward and pull back. And that is one rotation.
Okay.
And that is what he did between 8 and 9 hours a day for the 5 days of the week.
That's insane. Last
week, in an effort to raise money for Comic Relief in the UK. Mm-hmm. And not only does Comic Relief has a very blanket umbrella of things and people and organizations they help.
Okay.
With the added recipients this year of Ukrainian refugees.
Great.
So people were pledging as Jordan would row.
Sure.
And it is so physically demanding and exhausting that Olympic rowers would call in and be like, I would never, ever attempt this. Jordan's goal was to roll 100 miles from London to Burnley just through the small canal system. This morning, there was a huge problem because the final canal he was going through dried up.
Oops. Climate change.
There was no water.
Climate change.
They had to reroute him, but still get him to the Burnley field. That's not the name of the place, but it's got a specific name, the home of his favorite soccer club.
Okay.
Just doing that motion repetitively, and the way I was describing it was in real time, and I realized that Jordan's physical exertion is boring you. You're so tired. For 8 to 9 hours a day.
It's a lot.
Like, I didn't realize how slow rowing is.
Sure.
That it would take you, 8 or 9 hours to do 22, 24 miles or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you go a lot faster with more people in the boat.
Exactly.
One person rowing is slower.
And they had, they had medical staff in a boat following him. They had Vic in the van on the shore of where he was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. They had Katie Thistleton, who's Vic's weekend partner, there live to talk to him at pit stops. Mm-hmm. And she felt really bad because, like, the poor dude is exhausted and she has to throw a microphone in his face and say, how are you feeling?
Yeah, talk on the air now.
But Jordan is such a consummate professional that even at his lowest, he would still stop and talk to the audience.
That's great.
And it was an amazing week because I made you listen to some of it.
True.
I stayed up most of the night, this last night, listening to the final leg.
Wow.
And also, because I thought he would be done by like 4:30, and he wasn't. He wasn't finished until, it's because of the dried up canal.
Sure.
Attacked by swans at one point. Yep. Yes, that was something expected going in.
Yep.
Just amazing. If anybody cares to donate at this point, they're still accepting donations. It's bbc.co.uk/Jordan.
Okay.
We donated.
Jordan spelled like Michael Jordan, I assume.
Exactly. Okay. Or like Jordan North. The real athlete in this. Has Michael Jordan ever rowed 100 miles in 5 days?
I have no idea, but I assume so.
No, he's not.
Really?
Yeah, he's scared of water.
Wow. I get.
That's why he played baseball and basketball, not water polo.
He was a golfer, so I guess that makes sense.
Exactly. He stays away from
water
the water.
hazard. Yeah, they put it right in the word.
It was a alligator incident in a water hole that made him scared of it.
Makes sense.
Even though
that all tracks. I don't need to look it up to find out.
You don't.
Nope.
You don't.
That all sounds perfectly plausible.
So congrats to Jordan, and that is not the only place we donated to this week because of obviously the horrific situation in the Ukraine right now.
True.
So if I remember, I'm going to put some links in the description as to other charities that we have.
I also donated to the Gizmodo Media Group Union this week because they are striking for better treatment, basically. They are the writers and editors behind blogs like Kotaku and Gizmodo and I think Takeout and Jalopnik and a bunch of the AV Club affiliated sites.
I feel like half of those aren't real words.
They are. And
Jalopnik is not a real word.
And a lot of them are really fun reading. And so as a result, I have also not been reading anything on those sites the last week. There hasn't been any new content, but they also requested people not go to the sites while they're striking.
Yeah.
And I was glad to do that. And I donated some money to them. You can, if you look up GMG Union, you'll probably find either the page that's explaining their situation and what they're striking for and how to support them.
Do you want to send me a link after this so we can...
I will, sure.
I'll put it in the description as well.
Yeah.
And then that's not to take into account, or to ignore the account that would be raffling off that JLA Avengers Are Here initiative.
Sure.
We're really good at looking at ways to give other people money and not getting any for ourselves.
We talked about this before. It feels like weird and selfish and crass at certain times to be like, how do we maximize our profit?
Right.
When there's so many other things going on in the world and so many other people that need help.
That doesn't make sense. You're nothing but a capitalist.
It's true. I'm nothing but a capitalist. It's the only thing I value. That's why I opened a comic shop. But the ability to sort of like do a lot of the capitalist things, but on behalf of like a worthy cause, feels better. You know, it feels more rewarding to be like, oh, I'm glad that we, raised a bunch of money for George Perez or for the Hero Initiative than it would be to like, cool, we raised a bunch of money for Challengers. Like, I'd like to do that, but I don't feel as good about that as the other one.
Yeah, you say that, but I don't think you care about the Gizmodo employees as much as they cared about you.
That's it exactly. It was what's the phrase I'm looking for? Exploitative.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. I was exploiting Gizmodo and the Gizmodo writers.
Oh, goodness. Hey, Dal, since we opened the store back in, 2008.
Wow. Nearly 14 years.
Were we open every day of the week all along? What do I mean by that? Like, we weren't, like, closed Tuesdays or...
No, I mean,
like
not counting the pandemic.
Not counting the pandemic, not counting Christmases.
No, when we opened 7 days a week.
Okay.
Even though I was working another job at the time, and it was probably killing me to do both.
Yeah, but to be fair, you didn't have to open most of those early days. You had to close.
I did, and I did open some days.
Yes, I said most.
I know.
But anyway, so in the history of Challengers being open for business, what are all the varying times at which we open on different days of the week?
I think for the longest time it was 11 to 7.
No, just open.
Oh, 11 a.m.?
Okay, but what about the other days?
I think it's pretty much 11 a.m. every day forever. Was it ever noon?
No, it was... you got it. My point was it is always forever been 11 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
So how enraging is it to get to the store before 11 o'clock to find the "you missed UPS" notice on the front door?
Perfect.
So this is the first Friday in, I don't know, like a decade. No, that's not true. In months, no UPS delivery.
Wow. Sorry.
They never came back.
Okay, great.
They never came back.
Wow.
What? Guys, we have posted hours.
Yep, pretty straightforward.
And they're always the same.
Yeah.
Always the same.
That sucks.
And also, the mail carrier came in, literally, unlocked the door, going back to turn on the Sidekick's lights. The mail carrier comes in and drops off the mail at that point, which included a box from Simon & Schuster.
Okay.
So we did still get a delivery today.
Sorry.
But that's fine. But the point is, I hadn't packed up any of the orders.
Of course not.
So who knows how long they're going to sit there.
Hopefully not too long.
I'm going to write down UPS and post office. And then segue into those orders.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So imagine my surprise, because we still don't get Shopify emails.
Nope.
We specifically don't get emails from Shopify that tell us we have a new website order to fill.
Nope.
So we only find the orders when we go looking for them, which we do regularly, but I hadn't from the time we talked about it last night to the time I got to the store this morning.
Sure.
And found like 5 more orders waiting.
Mm-hmm.
All of them for multiple copies of Avengers Forever number 3.
People are real excited about Avengers Forever 3, which, not to get off on a tangent, but I'm sure we've talked about this before. It's one of the most infuriating things about the collector-driven periodical comic market is we order Avengers Forever number 1. It sells a certain amount. We order Avengers Forever number 2 based on what number 1 sold. Number 2 doesn't sell as well. We cut our numbers with number 3. Number 3 sells like wildfire because it's got something in there that collectors are crazy about.
But the thing I don't understand about that is each issue of Avengers Forever has the introduction of somebody new. Invincible Iron Man.
Yeah, so
all the different...
Yeah, we were talking about this on the way to go see the Batman, and there are a bunch of things that it could have been in 3, but they're all stupid in the same way that, like, all of this stuff was in 1 and 2.
Right.
But no one cared until all of a sudden one of the things in this one got every collector to be like, this is going to be huge.
And when we say stupid, we don't mean stupid in the story. We mean stupid that people think it's something to collect because it'll escalate in value.
Yeah.
I enjoy Avengers Forever.
I do too.
It's fun.
I don't know if I enjoyed it. I thought 2 was a little too miserable.
Okay.
2 was an extended... What if this guy just... What
got
if
tortured?
A character gets tortured horribly for 20 pages? And it's like, I don't love that. Like, that's what made me stop reading Miles Morales, was there's an issue where it's like, I don't know, Miles Morales is just putting this, like, repeating death trap for 20 pages until he breaks mentally, and then, like, the issue's over. Like, no thanks.
I think that it's the Infinity thing. That's what I think it is.
Maybe, like, there's a riff on the Thing, there's a riff on Moon Knight, there's a riff on Ghost Rider's car, there's a bunch of new Red Skulls. They're all things that people could be excited about, including literally the Thing.
There is a book that came out this week that I don't remember what it was, that is getting high speculator prices because it's the first in-print appearance of the Punisher's new chest symbol.
It's Daredevil. No, so yeah.
Oh no, just finish that thought.
Daredevil Woman Without Fear number 3.
Okay.
Except that's also not the case because...
It's not the case, because he was in Timeless with that on.
It's right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and then the one panel that he appears in is the one with the new symbol.
And then it was a new...
Maybe it was.
It was. No, it was.
Okay.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
And then it was a new printing of Timeless that was just that panel.
Okay, great.
So people are selling this book for like $30. It's the first appearance of the Punisher. First of all, that new symbol is a throwaway symbol. Mm-hmm. It's not his new symbol. I mean, we're assuming from the story. But also, it's not even that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's like saying Amazing Spider-Man number 1 is the first appearance of Spider-Man.
But yeah, this was the week that apparently everyone in the world found out that we have a website that you can buy comics on, and that we sell stuff at cover price for new printings, even if the book is a hot book. So as a result, multiple people, including people who've never shopped with us before, were suddenly buying as many copies of Avengers Forever as they could get their hands on. And there's a slight problem because you and I had talked about, like, is there a way that we could stop people from ordering more copies? And the problem is the rule that we have is so hyper-specific that I don't know if there's a way to even...
Enforce it.
So the rule that we have now, that we've kind of...
Sculpted a little bit is
a good way of putting it. You can, like, new this week books, so new release comics, things that are in the new this week section in our physical storefront, and in the new this week category of our website, are limited to 2 copies per person for the duration that they're new this week. So if you order 2 copies of Avengers Forever number 3 the Thursday that they go up on the website, you cannot order more copies until they are no longer new this week the following Thursday.
And then if we have 10 left, go nuts.
Yeah, after that I don't care. No one cares. But the week of, we gotta limit it to 2 because otherwise it's the classic, like, nothing is stopping one person from ordering all of them and then nobody gets any. So if you think you're being disadvantaged by being limited to 2 copies, let me assure you that if we didn't do it, you might get 0.
Yeah.
So this is the better solution. The problem is, and I mean, I don't know if it's even worth trying to buy a solution to this because, and That's the joke because of Shopify. If we wanted a solution to this where we would have an automated system that would stop people from buying more than 2 copies, we would need to buy it. It would cost us money to limit sales because Shopify does not have a native solution for that. They don't have a native solution for nearly anything, but they will always point you to their marketplace where you can pay someone a subscription fee every month
to solve it for
a
you.
solution.
And they get a cut of that, which is what they prefer.
The way we could maybe do it, is you do a limit of 2 copies for anything in the New This Week category, which exists.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's how that would work exactly on like a mechanical level. I don't know if that's an option that you can give rather than just like 2 copies for an item. I don't know if you can do it for a collection. And on top of that, I don't know if we can have it like if you can unflag it basically. Like I can look into it.
Let me say this.
But part of me is like I don't want to pay $20 or $30 a month.
So
to solve this.
I am okay with just always refunding the extra copies.
Yeah.
Now, it's just so long as everybody, the 3 of us who do this, are on board with having to police that.
Yeah.
I'm fine policing it.
Sure. Okay.
It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, that's the easiest way for us to do it, is just to be like, no, here's the rule, and then you know it going forward.
Yeah.
Like, it does say it in the New This Week category.
It does, but that's
But
only...
most people aren't seeing it because all they're doing is searching for the one hot book.
Right.
They're not browsing our New This Week section to see what new comics would they want to read.
And we don't have the ability to... Well, we changing descriptions is hard.
Holy shit. It would be impossible.
And also, it's not worth it because then you have to change it back once it's not new anymore.
Yeah, like... It's not like a tag that gets applied. You'd literally have to go into every single item.
Yeah.
Add a line saying this is limited to 2 copies for the week of release. And then, like you said, find all that stuff afterwards and remove it. Like, no, oh my god, it would be someone's full-time job.
There was one person who ordered 4 copies of Avengers Forever 3.
Uh-huh.
And then the 3 remaining copies we had of the Peach Momoko cover to Spider-Woman 20.
Yeah.
2 separate transactions, both going to the same address.
Yep.
So I refunded them shipping for one of them.
Sure.
And because I had a refund, I had to take 2 Avengers Forevers off and 1 Spider-Woman off.
Yeah.
So I took the shipping off of one of them as well,
Sure.
just to be like, I'm
We
not
can pack
gonna.
them together, yeah.
Yeah, that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But like, there was one guy who last night I refunded 2 of the Avengers Forevers, and then I saw today he had 2 copies of 2 different covers of Stranger Number 1, 2 of each.
Okay.
So I refunded 1 of each and gave him 1 of each.
Okay.
Because that's a thing that we always debate on is...
Yeah, we have different outlooks on that.
It depends on what the book is.
Okay.
But if we have, stacks of whatever. Also, that Avengers Forever, nobody is ordering the variant cover.
Weird.
Yeah.
What variant?
It's just an Aaron Cooter Black Skull.
No, it's a reprint.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a reprint of issue 1.
Oh, okay, that explains it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that explains why no one's... I'm like, why is no one getting this one?
Yeah.
Weird. Can you guess how many Avengers Forever 3s we sold off the shelf today to in-store customers?
0.
That is correct.
0.
Because it's not really...
I mean, and the good news is, like, we had it for a few days. I'm
Yeah.
sure we're sold out of it by now.
We're not.
We're really?
Yeah, because I kept putting them back.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's, like, I don't mind that part of the website. Like, I get the whole, like, I hate that it's just speculator stuff. But on the other hand, it's like, we sold extra copies and no one went without.
I get it. That will... Eventually, when we have some sort of way to track sales with Managed Comics and some sort of initial ordering function, which someday, that will be a thing where we'll have to remember, like, oh, there was a speculator issue. We didn't automatically sell, like, don't order this number of 3 for 4.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, that's almost anything, though. Like,
it is. It is anything.
There's so many just random books now where it's like, I don't know. We could apply a tag to certain books or a note or something.
It's just that... So I was able to get in early enough to pull those things, but immediately I had many things that needed my attention in store.
Sure.
And I was working with Donovan today, whom I love working with.
Yes.
But in my head, she was already well-versed on the new system. She had never seen it before.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I have this erroneous memory of teaching her the new system.
You probably showed her the POS screen at one point.
She had never seen the iPad before.
Okay, but I mean, I think you might have shown her on, like, the iPad Mini or something.
Maybe.
Because we were showing a few people on that, like, just the temporary, like, before we'd even switched over, months in advance, when we were setting up the process, we were like, hey, look at this.
But the difference is now we use the dark theme.
Okay.
And that was all the white theme. I don't know.
I think we were using the dark theme almost immediately, because that was
when I was showing people on my phone, it was the white theme.
On the iPad mini, I'm pretty sure it was the dark theme.
Okay. Well, anyway. So that meant that I couldn't just let her ring people up while I was helping people. We had a creator come in today.
I saw.
Who's writing 3 new books for a major publisher.
Golly. And
basically had to do the, hey, what's going on with all of these characters? Sure. I need to catch up.
Sure.
And they can't use Comixology to do it because Comixology is so broken.
Yeah. I want people to understand that for a lot of creators who are working for major publishers, when they have to take over a project, I think people have this weird expectation that, like, they get a Bible or something from like the editor, or like they get a care package with all these books, and like maybe the highest level creators get that sort of service, but most creators are just like, I gotta go buy copies of these books to figure out what's going on,
and
because no one's gonna tell me.
The best and I guess worst part was every question I asked them just made them groan, because it wasn't questions that they knew that were going to be asked.
Oh, great.
Like if I were to say, oh, what iteration of said character? And they would say, what do you mean?
There's more than one?
Yeah. Or, hey, don't forget this aspect. No, they specifically told me that that's not the case anymore. I'm like, oh, man, I think it is.
Yeah.
Weird. And it's all part of a upcoming event.
Sure.
And I felt really bad. Because all I did was make their life so much harder. I didn't. Marvel did. But anyway, that was me going around the store with them and answering all these questions.
Right.
And yeah, I didn't even finish packing up and processing those orders until 12:30.
Okay.
But at least they were pulled right away.
Yeah, I always make sure to at least pull that stuff immediately upon opening, and then, like, it gets packed and it gets, submitted to the customer as soon as possible.
Yeah. The dude that bought the Maniac in New York trade got the notice that it was ready, came in and picked it up today. Yeah. I mean, so smooth and simple. Just, here you are. It's all done.
I definitely prefer local pickup stuff. That is my ideal usage of the sales aspect of our website, is people just going like, oh, I want to read this book today, and they buy it and they come pick it up, and then that's it.
So many times today, someone's like, yeah, I've got a book on hold, and it had to be, okay, so are you a club member? Did you buy this online, or did we call you about it?
Right.
Those are 3 different hold things. Yes. It could be any, and it was a different one for each time.
Yeah.
So it's hard to navigate that. But anyway, it's fine. What I found more frustrating was we had a club member in today who is very eccentric, is a word, and as always seems to come in with somebody else who they look like they're in the same proximity but are 2 different shopping people altogether.
Okay.
And this club member constantly talks, mainly to himself, but you don't know what he's saying or if he's talking to you.
Okay.
And immediately comes up to the counter and says, well, not immediately, but when they come to the counter, they say, can I look through my book so I bet you're happy I'll take some of those off your hands. Some of those?
I know who you mean.
Oh, I expected you already knew.
I didn't.
So this person painstakingly goes through their list, making all sorts of different piles.
Oh, yeah.
And putting them in different piles. And just like Jasper, we know you don't ring them up until they say.
Right.
And, like...
This is an evolving process.
Yeah. Jasper will always put back something, no matter what. But, I mean, Jasper has different issues.
Right.
Literally, different comics that he buys.
Sure.
So, this person, and then walks around the store and takes 3 books out of their pile, pulls several more off the shelf, wants to put back 9 books, and then, when they are finally ready to be rung up, with their stack of maybe like 9 books and 4 bags and boards, says, I'm going to need this in 2 different transactions.
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to sort? No, whatever you want to do. It's my call. Yeah, just ring up what you want. All right, so I did sub stuff first and then off the shelf stuff second. Make it easier.
Yeah.
Fine. Pays with the exact same card. It's not a credit card thing. It's not a money thing.
Nope.
So on the second transaction, when I'm ringing up the 4 bags and boards, he says, oh, you can make it 3 transactions if you want.
Why would I
And
want
I said,
that?
if I want, because I don't want.
Why would I want that?
Is that what you want? Yeah, we can do it in 3. Okay, so you want to do 1 separate transaction for $1
He always does the bags and boards separate.
for the bags and boards?
It's the weirdest thing. Of
He's like,
all
yeah,
the
okay.
weird things, that's the weirdest one. Is the like, I know you want bags and boards. You know you want bags and boards, but you always do it afterwards.
No, see, he had them.
I know, but he wants to pay for them at the end. It's so weird.
I don't understand why I had
so
to do
weird.
3 separate transactions of random dollar amount and stacks.
Uh-huh.
And he kept saying something about a specific number of transactions he wants to have per month.
Okay.
But, I mean, it'd be fine. There's someone waiting to get rung up behind you, man.
Yep.
God, I don't... And, of course, I'm super nice to this guy.
Uh-huh.
And then he's looking at the upcoming books in May,
Yep.
the sign at the counter,
Yep.
and then says, oh, I didn't get Sabretooth. It runs back out to get Sabretooth. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with Sabretooth.
Yeah, Sabretooth isn't on that.
He's not on
poster.
that. I made that poster.
Yeah. There's no new Sabretooth book coming out in May.
I don't understand. So then he comes back with, he wanted an extra copy of Ghost Rider #1, which we didn't have.
Right.
And then he comes up with Sabretooth and a random issue of Amazing Spider-Man and says, here, put these in my box.
Yep. Perfect. Makes perfect sense.
So I'm not entirely clear how to do that. So what I did was I changed the quantity of those 2 by 1 so they're not active on the website.
Yeah.
And I turned them the opposite way in his box so to denote he doesn't get a discount on those.
Okay.
But we'll have to, when he buys them, change the quantity again.
I guess.
I don't know. I don't know what the solution
There's
is.
not really a good way to do it. Like, it's a situation, and we talked about this a little bit earlier in the week about, like, essentially moving to when books are released, it's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
Like, the idea of just, like, throw this aside and I'll pick it up later. Like, there's someone who wants to buy it right now. What if you decide in a few weeks, like, oh, I don't want that anymore? Now what? Now we can't sell it. Like, if you want to pre-order something, we'll reserve it for you. And then you pick it up when you pick it up. We've already accounted for that sale. We've already accounted for that book. But if it's something that's on the shelf, not only did we not order that for you in the first place, we ordered it for anybody who wants to buy it.
Right.
So, like...
Which could be you,
Yeah.
but only if you buy it right now.
Throw this aside for me. Like, because we've talked about this in terms of, like, people saying... Subscribers emailing us and saying, like, oh, just throw this aside for me. Like, no, here's the link, buy it right now or don't. Like, it's one thing if, it's not on the website yet. If you're like,
Right.
hey, I'm going to come by for this copy tonight, fine, I'll throw it aside for you because there's no way for you to buy it yet. But if it's something that you need and it's on the shelf, like, just buy it. Here's the link, just buy it. If you're saying, I can't buy it yet, somebody else gets a shot.
Yeah.
That's just how
It's
it
only
works. So, I mean, I kind of... And we were talking about it in terms of, like, the hold box and how for years it's been like, oh, we'll set it aside for up to 7 days. But now it's like, again, it's on our website and we have to screw with our inventory to accommodate someone who doesn't want to buy something right this second when we could just as soon sell it to someone who does want to buy it right this second. So it's, I don't know that we're going to be setting things aside for people who are not in the subscription service.
Let me ask a
if we
couple
ordered
of...
it for somebody, like if it's a special order and it comes in, you got a week and here you go.
Right.
But if it's like, oh, here's something on your shelf, set this aside for me, I'm going to buy it in a few days. No. Buy it or don't.
Is it possible to do a non-specific customer draft order?
How do you mean?
Create a draft order for an item that isn't tied to a person.
I don't. Why?
So, hypothetically, let's say we have a bogus club member or customer, John Smith.
Uh-huh.
So when somebody wants to put something on hold, we can create a draft order for John Smith and put it on hold. So it technically takes it out of the inventory, and then we can release it or ring it up when the time comes.
Here's the problem with what you just said.
Okay.
The phrase technically takes out of the inventory. It doesn't.
Okay.
The biggest problem with things like draft orders in Shopify is that they do not remove the item from inventory even though it's on an order.
Okay.
It doesn't get removed from the inventory
Right.
unless
So
it
wait,
gets bought.
it doesn't for subscribers.
Right.
Got it. What about...
No, I mean, not even like subscribers. Subscribers are a whole different thing. This is literally like, if I created an order for you, it would be like you had it in the cart. Being in the cart doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
It's not removed from inventory until you buy it. So essentially all you're doing is putting it in a cart, And Shopify's like, that's great. I will still sell it to anybody who wants to buy it.
Is that the same thing if we put a transaction on hold? You know, where you're ringing somebody up and then you have to stop and go to help somebody else instead?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
But that doesn't really matter because in an instance like that, you're talking about like minutes.
I know.
And we can't, like, that could be happening when someone just picks something up off the shelf and walks around the store for 15 minutes. You know, as far as the inventory is concerned, it's still there because it's still in the store and no one's bought it. But obviously we wouldn't sell it, and that could be an instance where someone orders it online, but it's not available any longer. But this is a different situation where you're talking about, you know, brand new products or days, if not weeks, before it gets bought.
Okay. I thought I had a workaround, which is something I rarely can figure out for Shopify.
Yeah, there's not really...
It's a good try. You're right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It was a good try, Patrick. I appreciate
thanks,
the
Dale.
effort and the thought. Yeah, the only real way you can do it is remove it from the inventory and then re-add it to the inventory before you ring it up. But I almost resent having to do that level of work to not sell something immediately.
Okay, I have another question.
Like, that's a situation where it's like, just buy it. Just buy it.
Have we ever investigated if Shopify has a layaway function?
I haven't, but I honest to God, do not really understand how Layaway works. I've never used Layaway in my life, so I don't know what the process is.
It's my understanding, and I don't know Shopify like you do, and this probably is wrong, but a layaway counts it as a sale that is slowly being paid off.
Maybe.
So I assume it would take it out of inventory, but maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it would wait until the final payment is done.
Maybe.
But also we could...
I mean, I assume as soon as you take money for it,
Yeah.
it's removed from the inventory because you don't want someone to have paid 90% of something and then go to pay the final 10% and go, oh no, I sold it to this other guy. Now I got to refund 90% of the sale for somebody who's been slowly paying it off. Here is the nuts and bolts of it. I resent having to do any of that.
Oh, agreed. I completely agree.
Because again, this is a situation where it's for sale. You can buy it. If you either can't afford it or don't want to buy it right now, let someone else have the chance. That's how stores work, man. Yeah. That's how they work.
Yeah, I always use this as an example, but you can't go into Jewel and put a loaf of bread on hold.
No, you buy it or you don't.
So let me see if this is clearing it up. If somebody calls and says on a Wednesday, can you put this book aside?
We can hold it to the end of the day.
We'll hold it to the end of the day.
After that, it goes on the shelf.
And then you can buy it online tomorrow starting at 11.
Starting at noon.
Starting at noon.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can buy it tomorrow online.
Because I never want...
Sure, you don't want to have to
Thursday
rush
to
pull
in.
things off the shelf as soon as you come in the morning.
That's a pain in the ass.
Right?
Yeah.
Like today.
Exactly.
So we can hold it for today. It'll go back on the shelf tonight at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
And then you have to buy it off the website.
Yep.
Fair?
Yeah.
The only time it's different is when somebody orders a book we don't have and it has to come in.
Yeah, if it's a special order, you have a week.
Yeah.
Because you don't know when that's going to come in, and maybe your schedule isn't great or whatever. What I'd love to move to in the future, though, is...
invoicing.
Just invoicing people, taking an email address. So here's what we could do, and there's kind of two options. One of them I think is better in the long run, but it's a little bit more work up front.
Yeah.
And the other one's probably the one we'll end up doing. The one I'd like to do is when someone is making a request for a book or a special order of some sort.
Wait, hold on. Clarify. In stock, out of stock?
Out of stock.
Okay.
Something we don't have right this second.
Okay.
Literally, yeah. If someone's like, hey, I'm looking for Ghost Rider #1 second print or whatever.
Because technically, and forgive me for cutting you off, technically if someone's like, can you hold this for me? We can immediately say, what's your email address? I'll send you an invoice for a new Wednesday book, a book on Wednesday.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely do that. If anybody wants to do that.
We could just say, hey, we can't hold it for you, but we can send you an invoice to pay for it right now.
The tricky thing is I'll have to experiment with this because the problem is that stuff does not go live in the online store channel.
Okay.
Until the next day at noon. So fair. If you send an invoice, we can trial it.
It just may not have something to tie it to.
Yeah, because basically we've had problems where people try to pay online transactions and then we don't have that item in stock. In store, it's no big deal. The POS doesn't care.
But
POS,
online stores, you can
like,
set
you
items to keep ringing up even if the quantity is
Not
zero.
even that. Like, you can sell literally any out-of-stock item on POS because it's like, clearly you must have this if you're selling it to somebody.
Sure.
But online store has a layer of logic where it's like, you can't fill this order based on what you say you have in stock, so we can't let you take money for it.
Sure.
So I don't know how that would work. We can, again, trial it and see if it works. If it does, that's the solution, is just like, give me an email address. I will send you an invoice right now. You can pay for it and pick it up whenever. I'll put it aside with your club stuff. I'll do whatever. It's especially easy with last-minute subscribers who are like, Tuesday night, set this aside for me. Here's an invoice. Buy it right now. That would be great. So we'll look into that.
I would like to just call that out, how much we hate that.
Well,
and the system is designed to not do that.
Well, so I'm sort of okay with it, kind of a little bit on the level of like, look, you're just buying it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting a discount. I'm not pulling it for you or whatever. Like, you are buying it.
But you're pulling it off the shelf and the inventory is messed up.
Well, not even that, but like, I just mean talking about it in the sense of like sending someone an invoice.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like,
I meant the general practice of somebody
last minute request
Tuesday night, Wednesday morning saying, "Oh, can I get these for this week?"
Not great.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about with sending out, like dealing with special orders. So one of the things I thought we could do is when someone's saying, "Hey, I want to order this book that you don't have in stock right now," creating an account for them on Shopify, like the usual, like, give me a name and a phone number is just like, give me a first name, a last name, a phone number, an email. You have an account on Shopify now. When this thing comes in, we just go to that account, click a link, and we send them a message. We don't have to worry about like transcribing an email address.
Sure.
Or like plugging it into whatever. Like, they just have an account.
But how will we know?
You'd still have to put it in the special order book.
So we still have to transcribe the email.
Well, you don't have to put the whole thing. You could just put like
so long as we can read the handwriting in the name.
Well, yeah, just first name, last name in the book, and then Shopify, and then the book they're looking for. So instead of writing down an email address and a phone number, you're putting it in the system so there's at least a longer term record of it.
So could we just say Dow Bush Shopify?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then when the book comes in, you just go to Shopify and you look up Dow Bush, and it's like, oh, here's their account. And then you create an invoice form and you send it out, and they can pay for it online, choose shipping if they want. So that's what I'd like to do, but we did that for like a couple days, and then we were like, this is kind of like too much work, and we stopped doing it in favor of the old method. But I think longer term, it's better for us to be doing it with invoicing.
And it's, when we have a new process, just dive in.
Yeah.
Start doing it.
Maybe we'll move to that sooner rather than later. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the huge benefits of Shopify is the ability to more easily invoice people for stuff. Instead of the usual, like, I got to ring it up on the register, and I got to come up with a Square invoice, and I got to monitor the Square invoice. This is all, it's within our register system, so it's very easy for us to send a subscriber their invoice or to throw on extra stuff or whatever, to do all that kind of last-minute-y stuff. But yeah, like, I think we need to move to... and. I just wrote up this month's subscriber email, so it's probably going to wait till next month because I'm kind of out of characters I can use.
Yeah, right.
Is just kind of creating a more firm division of like, we have a pre-order system and we have an online storefront, and they're two different things. Like, if you need something before the order's closed, that's the pre-order system. If you need something after the order window closes, that's the online storefront. They're two different things. The days of throw this aside for me, pretty much done. We're not doing that anymore. Like, that was never good for us financially. It was never something we had a good system for. It was always something that was like, we're doing you the favor, and somehow us doing you the favor became the expectation of service.
Right. And don't forget, we constantly get burned on hold stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the fill rate is still most likely 50. Not fill rate. The pickup rate is still maybe 50%.
Do you mean for the whole box?
Oh, what did I say? The pull box? I said whole box. Yeah, whole box.
I'm just making sure because I was talking more about like the subscription service.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Yeah,
the whole box. Yeah, is it? But this isn't necessarily going to solve like the special order process.
No.
Like we will sometimes get burned on set this aside for me, and then someone doesn't come back for it. Like that. Yeah, that happens more often than not. But like we also get burned on like order this book for me, and then we can never get a hold of that person.
Yeah,
and sending invoices is not going to. Well, even sending an invoice is not going to fix that. No one checks their. The people who are not checking their voicemails are also not checking their emails. So yeah, that's definitely something that I think we need to be a little stricter about going forward. Is we have these tools, and this is how these tools work, and please use them. Like
this, I think that this specific conversation is a good look behind the curtain, because this is literally how we decide things. We just do a whole bunch of what if, or how about, or can we do this, or how does this work?
Or this is the thing that's driving me actual crazy.
Yeah.
And we need to fix it before I start getting violent in the store. Yeah.
Can't be violent in the store?
Not as violent.
So this is a quick story for the listener of something that I really wanted to do and you really didn't want us to do. And basically, and this came out of a conversation I had with Challengers reservist Fallon Challenger. And the idea was to...
Fallinger.
to take our outgoing phone message and have it basically be, when you call in, it would be this. You have reached Challengers Comics Conversation at 1845 Northwestern. Store hours are Monday through Friday. I'm sorry, the store hours are every day of the week, 11 to 5. Wednesdays we're open until 7 p.m. If you have a store question, you can reach us at challengerscomics.com. If you're looking for a specific, obviously there's no script. I'm just spitballing this.
Just doing the thing.
But I'm giving it the official voice.
The Challenger's voice.
If you're looking for a specific product, every item is available to be searched on our website at challengerscomics.com. This machine does not take messages. And then turn off the volume on the phone so it never rings. And when the message clicks in, you never hear it. Because the only phone calls we got today were all spam.
Uh-huh.
And the point of that, to me, would be, A, whenever somebody calls now and says, do you have this in stock? It's, hey, I'm going to go check for you, but future reference, you can look it up online. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I know I would much rather look something up on a store's website than talk to someone who likes talking to people. And then, so if they have, like, any other, what are your hours? Where do you locate it? All that stuff is on the website or on the Facebook page or on any Twitter bio or whatever. And so the email us at this email address would hopefully weed out a lot of the unnecessary questions. Mm-hmm. And also, I hate the phone.
You do, you really do.
And before you give your side...
I don't really have a side.
I know, but I mean, you were against it.
I was.
I pitched it to Donovan today, and Donovan said that I wasn't going far enough because the phone should just be ripped out of the wall and lit on fire. So I just want you to know there is an extreme level beyond.
We were not at the end of the spectrum.
That's right. That's right. And your point of view is basically that as a consumer, you hate not being able to get a hold of someone when you need to.
Yeah. I had to call a credit card company today because I had gotten a new credit card and it had never shown up. So I needed to call them and say, hey, this never showed up. I need you to send me a replacement. And they had a voicemail system, and the voicemail system was type in the last 4 digits of your credit card.
You don't have a credit card.
I don't have a credit card. And there's no option to skip that. So when you don't type it in, they just go, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Please type in the last 4 digits. And I kept doing that and doing that and doing that. And finally I went 0000 #. I don't know. Okay. Type in the last 4 digits of your social security number. Boom, 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 boom. £. I'm sorry, I didn't see that account. Please type in the full 16 digits of your credit card followed by the £. And then it keeps recycling that message again and again. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Please type in the full 16 digits. And so eventually I did 16 zeros and a £. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. I don't see that account. And eventually, after like 5 minutes of this repeating voicemail message, and me,
my account number is fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you,
screaming at it like, I don't have the card. That's the problem. It finally was like connected me with a representative who quickly fixed the problem. But it was like that. I thought of that when you were explaining your system again. Is like there's an edge case where that's going to be a deal breaker for people, where they need something that the website doesn't have or that isn't on there. They have a question. And you're basically telling them you don't want their business. So that was in my mind.
Sure,
that's a level of obstruction I don't want to put there.
That's not the case. Mm-hmm. Because A, we don't have a voicemail system. B, we don't have we're selling things. We're not providing a service.
I mean, arguably this is kind of worse because imagine if I wouldn't have even gotten past the voicemail if they would have just said no, go to your credit card account. And it's like I can't even start the credit card account because I don't have the card.
But it says you can. What if it said email for help with this email address, and then if we get an email from someone with a thing that we need to answer, we call them back. We're not denying people the human contact. And arguing about this is a moot point because we're not doing it.
No.
And in my head, I wanted to just do it and not tell you.
I know.
But that's not fair.
Thanks.
That's not how business works.
Thanks.
And I respect you too much to do that.
Appreciate that.
And we had a conversation, and you said no, so as is the challenger's way, we're not unanimous, so we don't do it.
Sure.
But I do think it's different, and I don't think it's anywhere as near as...
It's not a one-to-one comparison.
The examples you're giving, I don't think... You're right, it's not one-to-one. It doesn't compare.
This is just something I was thinking about when I was going through this process. Is that extra layer of frustration. It's not that, like, it didn't get solved, and it's not like your scenario wouldn't get solved. It's just there would be a frustration factor in there that was unnecessary.
But also, I find it hard to think of a scenario in which somebody has to get a hold of us.
In everything that we've ever done, we've always been like, we covered our bases, and then immediately find out we did not cover our bases. So I'd rather err on the side of, yes, it's frustrating for us, and like anyone in America, I dislike answering the phone now because 99% of the time, it is someone trying to sell you something or scam something or waste your time in some way. But the thing is, 1% of the time it's not, is like, I don't know, I think that makes it valuable still.
Yeah, a family member of mine missed an important call because they had 15 scam calls in a row. Mm-hmm. And then just, I don't recognize this number, I'm not getting it.
Yeah.
And it was an important one.
Yeah, on my cell phone today, the only phone calls I got were, because I checked the voicemail, because they left a message. I'm like, oh, they left a message, this must be important. And it's all stuff about my car's warranty. Which I haven't owned a car in 10 years. And yet I get...
Well, I think that warranty might have just run out, Dal, so you may need to...
Like everyone else in America, I get daily scam phone calls about my car's warranty. So that's great.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of things in America, it's not a great system, but it's better than no system at all.
So anyway, we had that discussion last week, and I was immediately crushed that you were so immediately against it.
Yeah, you were not into that.
Yeah.
You were like, okay, sorry.
And now, of course, I can't help but think about it every time I get a bullshit phone call. It's like, oh, I could have not answered this.
If only Dal wasn't standing in my way like always. Yeah, it's my nature.
You're doing what you think is right for the business.
I was, it's true.
I'm doing what I think is right for me.
It's true.
I don't care about you. Oh, wait, no, we've already done that joke. We've done that joke. Dal cares about me enough to be the first person to message me about the new Taskmaster Max Plus streaming service that I had not heard about.
Yeah, I saw an article in, I think it was...
Deadline.
I'm
sorry, that was the link you sent.
Yeah, it was AV Club directing to a Deadline post. And so I'm like, I'll send this to Patrick. I'm sure all the people who know that he's a Taskmaster fan probably have already forwarded this information to him in some way. Not the case.
Yeah, your message was, I'm sure I'm the 9th person to tell you this, but here you go. And then several hours later, I got one other message about it. Can you guess from who?
The Springhams?
That is correct.
I figured.
I told them that they care about me second most.
They do. Yeah.
I'm a little torn about this Taskmaster streaming service.
Yeah.
Because
can you explain to people what it is?
A streaming service or Taskmaster?
What the Taskmaster streaming service is.
I'm
sure people listening to this podcast...
It is basically a streaming service where they will have all the seasons of Taskmaster available, but also other countries' iterations of it. And, quote, more things to be determined in the future, something like that.
And what's like $6 a month or something?
I never got that far.
I think that's what I saw in the Deadline article. It's like $6 a month.
I just glanced at it. Now, here's the thing. I love everything Taskmaster related.
You do. You've got Taskmaster merchandise.
I do.
Several pieces, gifts and things you bought.
That's because I'm a giant nerd, Dal. I own a comic store. That's just in my nature.
Sure.
The thing is, I own all of those episodes. And including ones from other countries.
Yep.
I have them at my fingertips.
Yep.
So the idea of paying a streaming service, it depends on what the extras are.
Right.
I mean, I bought the Taskmaster phone app.
I would think of this, though, as just basically a $6 a month donation to Taskmaster because you can't really support them other ways.
I bought their app. They have an iPhone Taskmaster app.
Okay.
Now, I never interact with it.
Okay. Because
it's basically about giving you tasks to do. And never once, while watching Taskmaster, have I thought, I wish I was doing that task.
No.
I would think, if I'm forced to, how would I do that? But I don't want to do the tasks.
Right.
And all during the pandemic, they did at-home tasks. And I never was interested in doing those because that's not what I get out of it.
Yeah, you don't look at it as a contestant. You look at it as, I want to see funny people do these things.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I was bored by a lot of the at-home tasks because they're not well-known comedians or things like that.
Right.
Some of them were good. It's just...
And even when you think about, like, Taskmaster as a television show, a lot of it is in the editing.
Yeah.
You're not just watching raw footage of some comedian, futz about a task for however many minutes it takes them. You're watching an edited program that gives you the punchlines, that gives you the good moments, the really funny bits, and transposes them with other contestants'
just like
versions.
This podcast. This is the edited, what you're hearing is the gold.
This is the best 1 hour from the 17 hours we recorded.
Yeah. I tell people it takes a long time to record.
Yep.
A quick shout out to our good friend and patron Robert Burns.
Yeah.
To his successful day today.
Yay.
And normally when he used to try to message all the time when we were recording to be part of the podcast. And he also texts Gina and I when he knows it's cocktail time on Friday afternoons.
Wow.
Today he was unavailable too.
Sure, of course.
And he just messaged now, but he's has a penchant for liking things.
Okay.
So I had gotten him a little message to help him along in his endeavor.
Yeah.
And as we were talking just now, the phone came up and said that Robert liked that message. But I'm like, is he liking it because he's acknowledging it that it exists, or did he? But then as we were talking, he
responded to it.
Yes, he got to watch Danhausen talking to him about his current situation.
Yes.
So, good job, Bob. Glad everything went well.
We have to get him some recovery soup.
Recovery soup.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yes. And monies. And many monies.
Many monies. Donovan knows nothing about wrestling. Knows nothing about Danhausen. I just described Dan. Didn't even show, I didn't, no clips, no footage.
Yeah.
I showed the picture of us meeting him.
Yeah.
And described him. She's immediately on board.
Danhausen's very easy to get on board with.
He's universal.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what his involvement is in
the ladder match
in Revolution Weekend.
Yeah.
Don't know. You figure he's got to be involved. Orange Cassidy, I think, is the only member of Chaos that is participating in Revolution. So I like thinking of it that way. I know it's technically Best Friends, but I like the idea that because Best Friends joined Chaos, technically this is all part of the much larger Kazuchika Okada-led Chaos faction.
Right. Although we don't know if Danhausen's in it.
I think he is.
We don't even know if he's in Best Friends.
Trent's mom is in it.
Trent's mom is... Trent's mom has told us personally that she is a member of Chaos.
She's a Chaos.
So yeah, Sue is part of Chaos, but we don't know if Danhausen is or not.
I just assume.
I mean, wasn't that a question that they had asked on a BTE?
I don't think anyone involved in Best Friends understands who is technically a member of Best Friends and who is not. If Trent had his way, Wheeler would not be a part of Best Friends, and yet he still is. He's on the T-shirts.
Wait, who's Wheeler? There's...
The other Trent.
There's just one Trent.
There's just one Trent.
The Asian American Trent.
The Asian American Trent, who's in Roppongi Vice.
Yeah.
With Rocky Rivera.
Right.
Yep, that's the one.
Not to get wrestling related, but this is the thing I forgot to tell you last night.
Wrestling related.
Is talks between the WWE and Cody Rhodes have fizzled. But the perfect solution.
ROH.
Cody, you wanted more power? Here you go.
It would be hilarious if that was why ROH got bought and why Cody left AEW. It was just he's going to take over ROH. All right.
I mean,
go ahead.
You give Cody the book and William Regal the scouting.
What do I care?
Yeah.
Sure.
They have said that ROH is basically going to be AEW NXT.
That was what... I didn't really do a lot of reading on this.
Well, because no one knows. It's all speculation.
It's all speculation, but I mean, when has that ever stopped the dirt sheets? A lot of my wrestling quote-unquote news came from the Discover page on my Google homepage on my phone. So whenever I would go to the Google app or Chrome, the Chrome app, I should say, to go look at something on a website on my phone, there would be all this news. So I could just scroll down real fast and be like, oh, what's... According to my interest that Google has accurately collated, what is there I should know? But there's a lot of wrestling stuff recently. But that hasn't worked on my phone in a month. So I don't know anything about what's going on besides what I watch on YouTube and on TV. But I did read a little thing on 4-in-1 where somebody had immediately suggested, is this just going to be ROH? Is ROH going to be the NXT of AEW? And, I mean, part of me doesn't understand that because
That's what Dark is?
Yeah, it's what Dark and Elevation are, kind of.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
And also, calling it the NXT of AEW is my language. The phrasing that the articles I read were
farm system.
AEW's developmental system.
Yeah. But that is what NXT was, or at least it used to be.
Yeah.
Is giving people a chance to kind of work on a brand, to do televised stuff, to do storylines, to hone their craft, to reach a level where then they could graduate to a show that is watched by more people and has more coverage and has, veterans in there that have a higher expectation of the caliber of opponents they should be working with. Guys who won't get hurt, guys who won't blow their chance on the mic. But it's so weird to even think about that because, Adam Cole
Baby
is an AEW guy, and he's a guy that was an NXT guy. So it's I don't understand what AEW's NXT would be when AEW is kind of the guys from NXT. I don't...
Yeah, but at that point, NXT was the third brand?
But before that, though, when NXT was in its golden era, it was very much a developmental brand. As soon as you won the belt, the clock was ticking for when you got graduated out to WWE.
All right, I'm going to put a stop to this.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all I want to talk about.
I know
it's the most engaged I've been this entire podcast. Finally, he said something that interested me.
And it wasn't about comics at all. I read the Rogues preview that you raved about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
It's real good, right?
It's a good, fun...
We definitely didn't order enough.
Yeah, we didn't. And also... I don't know what I was thinking of when I said I read it and didn't like it.
Suicide Squad Blaze, probably.
Maybe.
So here's the thing, and I don't want to point fingers, but...
Oh, yeah, no, I ordered real low on that.
No, it's not that. It's just that I read Rogues, and you had ordered low, and I think I was doing FOCs, and I'm like, I'm not going to go up too high in this because Patrick didn't like it.
Well, also, our Flash numbers are pretty anemic.
I don't think that's who this is going to appeal to. I think there's a bunch of Black Label people that if you're just hey, this is a heist thriller with the Rogues, I think that people would be like, oh, that's cool. If you say it's a good crime book, I think you have more people into it. But if it was, there's been books where you and I are both into it, or we're both excited about it, so I'm I'll go up higher on that.
Yeah.
But when it's man, Patrick really didn't like it, I don't want to order a bunch of copies and have people go hey, is this good, and have him go,
So you mean the Batman movie?
We're not selling tickets to that.
I know.
I'm sure you had more than one chance to talk about that today.
Actually, you're wrong. I had one chance to talk about it today.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that's it. Nobody else has seen it. And literally nobody asked.
Apparently it's made $20 million already in the U.S.
That's true.
So someone must have seen it.
And then I read Shadow War Alpha.
I paged through that after you had told me about it. Mm-hmm.
It also written by Joshua Williamson. Two Joshua Williamson previews back to back.
Yeah.
I think as far as self-contained, minorly contained Batman events go, it's fine. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Victor Bogdanovich does the art in the alpha, and I think that helped it a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a thing that he does, though, that drove me crazy.
Is it the square fingers?
No. He draws the Robin mask as two separate giant circles.
Eyes, yeah, that connect.
Instead of a connected mask. Yeah. And every time I saw that, I'm like, nope. That is not the mask. Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
Funny thing to have to take you out of it.
Uh-huh. Because Robin's in it a whole bunch.
Yeah, it's a Robin story. Yeah, it's Robin-centric.
It's weird because it spins more out of what's been going on in Robin, despite it really being pitched as a Batman book. And I think I don't know. I gotta check. I can't remember if we're pulling it for everyone who gets Batman or not. I don't remember.
If you were getting Deathstroke or Robin, you're getting the Batman components. We didn't go the other way.
Well, I don't think the single issues, the in the series issues, I don't think we did any copying over.
Okay.
I'm talking about I can't remember, and I'll have to check tonight because I think at FOC's tomorrow. I don't remember if we were pulling Shadow War Alpha for everyone who gets Batman. I think we were, and I don't know if that's a good idea. You kind of need it because Chapter 2 of the story is Batman 122. So I can't imagine it's going to make any sense if you didn't read the corresponding Alpha issue. But it's at a point where I'm I think I'd rather just pull this for people who get Robin. So if we didn't do the copy over yet, which you probably did, it's probably too late, I'd probably just copy it over for people who get Robin.
Both of them?
A bunch of people get Robin.
Robin does fine. Actually, Robin is not fine. Robin is okay. Robin has done better, but everything is falling.
Yeah.
The thing I liked about Robin is that it's been one story this whole time, with like different facets, but still.
Yeah, the first 11 issues are really one story.
But the story does move from this point to this point to this point, but it's still an overarching thing.
Yeah.
But so I read that, and I thought that was an entertaining read. And a couple other DC previews that were up I can't read yet because I'm not current. Like, I couldn't read...
The only stuff I saw was, like, Swamp Thing 11.
Yeah. I couldn't read Trial of the Amazons, Wonder Girl, because I'm one issue of Wonder Girl back.
Yeah, I didn't want to read that.
Yeah. I think there was something else. And then... What else? We got something from somebody?
I don't remember getting anything decent from Image this week. I think everything was very, like, we're not giving you previews that. Like, they didn't give us a preview of Astro City. Weird.
Yeah, but, I mean, we don't need previews from Image because we already got 8 Billion Genies and... Fuck this place.
Yeah, and also, I don't think at this
point
point you need to show retailers what Astro City's like.
Right.
I think I know what a Kurt Busiek, Brent Anderson, Alex Ross, Astro City comic is like and who it's probably going to sell to.
These arrived in the store today. Anybody who would like to pick up a copy of the Night Hunters graphic novel, we now have signed bookplate stickers that go inside of them.
Neat.
I think we have like 8 books on the shelf. Okay. We got a couple extra stickers for when we reorder.
Mm-hmm.
So those are available now. Thank you, Dave Baker, for sending those out. And I had a club member come in today who's really on a Tom King and a Tom Taylor, Tom's kick, who came in. He's like, yeah, last time I was in, I saw you guys had Batman Detective, but are you all out of it now? We are out of it because this is yet another instance of a misprint happening.
Yeah.
DC Lunar sent out an email saying, hey, destroy all those copies.
Yep. Pull it from the shelves,
it's misprinted.
Them. We're going to send you new ones.
So I brought this one home to look through and find out what the misprint is because they were all shrink wrapped. I haven't found out yet.
Sure.
I just had it here as a reminder to look through it. And then I guess we'll end with a story about Marvel graphic novels and how we may just not have a week's worth of them.
No. Yeah, anyone who came into the shop this past week might have noticed if they were looking for new Marvel graphic novels that we didn't get any. All the new Marvel graphic novels for...
Look at that. That's a great cover under the dust jacket.
For March 2nd release, we have not received yet. We sent an email to Penguin Random House on Tuesday when we had received all of our shipments and realized that those graphic novels were not amongst them. Saying, hey, we didn't get these books. Here's the invoice. Here's the tracking number. Looking at the tracking, it seems like there's an error on it. It might not have even left yet. Please, reship these so we can have them for the week of release, or, tell us what's going on. They never emailed back. So today on Friday, I sent another email saying...
Yeah, that's not true. They immediately emailed back down.
They did. They immediately sent an automated response saying that they received the email and they'd get to it as soon as they could. They never got back to us after that. And then today on Friday, I sent them another email saying, hey, check the tracking. Now it says it's returning to sender. Please send us these books so we can have them to sell. We've already missed the first week of release.
Yeah.
And then we, of course, got an immediate automated response saying that they got our email and they'd be back to us as soon as they could. I'm not expecting a lot.
I'm holding my breath.
Monday, I am probably going to have to call Penguin Random House.
Yeah.
CS Comic Market.
I mean, would you just call a rep?
I guess. I mean, I don't think I have a phone number for a rep. I just have,
We do.
Well, no, I mean, so I don't... I know who you're talking about. I don't know if he's technically our rep, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I would at least call and say, hey, who do you direct me to?
Yeah, maybe.
Something like that.
If I don't... I mean, I don't expect I'll hear anything before Monday because I sent the email at, 3 in the afternoon on a Friday because that's when I found out.
Quick flip through. I see I can't find any... I didn't see anything.
Maybe there's missing pages or something.
God, they should just print it like this. What a good cover. I mean, layout, design. Not a huge Kubert fan, but you know what I mean. Sorry. So yeah, we hear horror stories like this from people every single week. Somebody gets fucked by either Lunar or Diamond or PRH.
Yeah,
it's just our turn.
Yeah, it's a first for us. I've never really had an instance where a box went missing and then I can't get the shipper, the vendor, to do anything about it. We've had boxes go missing or stuff where it's this was the wrong thing sent to us. But you talk to a rep and they work on it. They resolve the issue. It's the only issue we had with Penguin Random House that got resolved this week were shortages that I reported through their site. The email I sent to their rep, nothing happened.
And don't you remember Lunar sent out an email last week saying this week's books are going to be held up and they're not going to get them to us until that Monday?
Yeah.
They're in.
Well, they said that they were doing everything they could to make sure that accounts had them by Monday.
Yeah. We got ours yesterday.
Yeah.
It's all fine.
It worked out for us.
Yeah. Like that. Worked out for us.
Mm-hmm.
Normally does.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the weirdest time that we never got those graphic novels. Plus, we don't have next week's graphic novels yet. We usually get them on Friday, but they're just on a truck somewhere.
Yeah. I haven't checked the tracking on that one, so who knows? I'd
going
certainly
back to
love
summer.
it if this was a thing where, because the graphic novel is shipped from a certain warehouse, that warehouse is just like, we don't know how to send those books to Challengers anymore. That
Yeah.
would be a blast.
We also have not yet gotten the tester boxes,
Oh, yeah.
but I don't know if we're able to talk about that.
Probably
so we won't.
not.
So we won't. In fact, we'll stop talking entirely. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
Oh, wait. What is it? It's March? I got to find somewhere to put in the patrons. I keep meaning to get Molly Jane to record a new intro for that, but I haven't.
Oh, sure.
So it'll be the old one still.
Okay.
Maybe I'll do it right here.
Hey, this is the point in the episode where we like to thank all of our patrons this month.
Including our annual patrons, Becca Hilburn and Joseph Coco, Brent Helt, Dal's mom Diane Bush, Jose Villagomez, Josh Crawley of Westfield Comics, Michael Romanenko, Mike Loveday. Our patrons that have created their own tier, Andrew Drewtroit Comics Aaliyah, Christina McChrystal, Bridget K. Neville, Chris Burton. Our other generous patrons from the Say My Name tier, Arun Singh, Social Media Vampire Ben-Hur Benedict Calaguas, Bradley Raider, Braden, Brian Garside from Manage Comics, Christopher Haith, Drew Triner and Ashley Edwards, Challengers Reservist Fallon Mackerline, my brother George W. Brower, Heidi D., Jacob Sorelli of Kamikaze in Tel Aviv, from 11 O'Clock Comics, Jason Wood, Jay Johnson, Josh Trigg, Mark Hammond of All Yeah Comics, Margie, Keith, Logan, and Malcolm Springham, Marcus Nasso, Matt Armstrong, Mitchell Davies of All-Star Comics in Melbourne, Australia, Morgan Kaiju Perry, Nick Baldwin, Robert Burns, Ron Payne, Ryan Alcock, Ryan Hecht, Sean Bowers, Tad Eggleston and Johnny Williams, Thomas Nagovin of Century Guild, Walt Grogan. And if you would like to hear your name thanked once a month on this very podcast, head over to patreon.com/challengers and pledge at the $5 Say My Name level. Thank you all very much, and a big thanks to all of our other patrons who generously support this podcast at different pledge tiers.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.